Marcus Garvey encouraged African people around the world to be proud of their race and to see beauty in their own kind. A central idea of Garveyism was that African people in every part of the world were one people, and they would never advance if they did not put aside their cultural and ethnic differences and contrasts. Top of the Rastafari agenda has always been repatriation to our spiritual home, Africa. Coupled with this has been the issue of reparation, for which there is a clear international precedent, and which, in collaboration with other Afrocentric individuals and organizations, we shall continue to agitate for, so that those displaced Africans in the West who want to return home, as well as those who desire to remain in the West, may do so honorably. Dr. Julius, on behalf of the old mansions of Rastafari again, all my brethren, sons and daughters of the Rastafari faith, we welcome you to the Pearl Tribe headquarters. Yes, sir. We will now call on one of the brothers of the Bobo Shanti faith. As we all know, the brothers of the Bobo Shanti faith recognize Marcus Garvey as Prophet John Elijah fulfilling the mission of Christ in the 2,000 years of analogy. I will now call Prince Ainsley to say a word before we introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Julius.
Love, my Lord, and Empress. We all love full and unpleasant today for brethren and sisters to go together in unity and love. It is like the precious ointment upon my head I run through here. Even a run spear runs in the skirt of his hand. As if you are firm and dwelling upon a mountain of fire. For when the Lord commanded his blessings, he love and life to us forevermore. So hail our God, Celestial, the hope of God, the Rastafari. O Almighty God, the Rastafari, great and terrible God, the Rastafari, the Almighty God. Thou who seest up in China, in the heart of all flesh. O thou most high, eternal Father, Jehovah God, the Rastafari. Hear us and bless us, O Lord. Keep and sanctify us all. Because thy holy face is shining upon us, thy children. So we shall be saved and redeemed. O thou most high God, Jah
Rastafari.
My Lord and Empress, welcome, welcome. Lord. Well, my Lord and Empress, we truly have to give thanks, even at this historical moment, to see that we can even be in the company of our blessed, Messiah, his lineage, his direct lineage, Dr. Julius, Marcus Garvey, the Black Tiger, he came with hope, because at the time Marcus Garvey arrived, black people, it seemed like they had no hope. They had to settle for Marcus Garvey come and rise our nationality, our national pride as a people. I see him as heralding the king, because the king doesn't come in unheralded. So, you hear say, the king, you don't want the king to come up on you and your shirt and your pants already to mouth number. So, you have always a man who heralding the king. And we see him as the Honorable Prophet Marcus Garvey, the Black Tiger, who come and show black people, listen, love your black self, love your black nose, and your big lips. That's how Marcus come and show me, see, because we are the only race that products was made to alter our natural looks. Products, even this selling in the store. So that means the Marcus Garvey message is alive and well even unto today. When he shows us as a people, we must love ourselves the way that God created us. And then he take a step further to show us, yes, we have a place where we come from. We don't drop out of the sky. As all the white people would want to show, like we don't really have no way to go, because it is natural. If you take me away from which part I am accustomed to, and then one day tell me, no, I was wrong and free. Well, then it should be less natural that you take me back to where you got me from. And this has not been addressed. So we give thanks to the Black Tiger who come and show the world. We have no problem with a white Britain. We have no problem with a white America. But Africa must be black, said Marcus. John, Marcus, Celestia, Jah.
Rastafari.
So we definitely see him as the prophet who came in heralded the king. It will have some controversy because we deal in reality. And we want we use them to know so that the people don't laugh if it's got children to be, good. And you want your children to be versed in what you're dealing with so that they won't be ridiculed when they go out there. And most Rasta man, we have something that we want to talk about. But we don't have to be afraid. So about the controversy when they say Marcus fight against the king. But not never go on through. Because if you look at the prophecy, you see Marcus come from a prophetical point of view. Marcus come with the vision. Marcus show us the reach for the stars of equality and justice in Black Africa, Black Ethiopia, Black Addis Ababa. So it never had a controversy between the king and Marcus. The king come with the authority to show us say, we don't know boy and girl. We are direct descendants of King David. And another prophet Marcus was there come with the vision to show us say, as a people we was mighty and we can be even more mighty in this time. And another King Emmanuel Charter will come and show us how to live a godly life as from our perspective. Now slavery opened up a lot of different schools of thought for us as a people. But we shouldn't make our schools of thought and our philosophies in line be a barrier to one another. And for here, I say we are a diverse group of people, so we're going to have diverse form of solutions to the common problem that faces us all. So we shouldn't fight against each other. What God tell you, you could tell me, and what He tell me, I could tell you. And we hear chat talking loud and clear. So these are some of the barriers we come to break down as Rastafari. These are some of the barriers we glorify this day here, where we can all come together and say, it's freedom for us, reparation, repatriation, because if you want to give me money, you have to repair the breach. And repair the breach is Africa, because you take away our children. We was the real wealth, the black gold, and they took us away. And now they want to hesitate like they don't want you to go back, But it is inevitable. And true, I know this is an evening with many mighty speakers to come. And, I never really planned no reason. I just say I want to read it from my heart. I give thanks to the moment, and I would like to see it up with this piece of reading from the Honorable Marcus himself, Black Tiger, who I had the privilege of sitting in Philadelphia and ministering in the same room the Tiger was in. I see the same seat instead of one. The place going down now, mysteriously, maybe the back of the but I just give thanks that I could have been with you as Tiger. Gracias. So, Marcus come and say, Africa for the Africans, those are two man abroad. From since I'm a little youth, there's no chance, you don't have my like that. But you don't know that. And you know what it is, barrier, what it is, thing when they throw to the parents, and they look like, you can't go to Africa. And all that. And all these are just silly questions. And today, I looked at two many things, and I come up with this reason that when we tell us that one of the opinions of Africa is back to Africa. The thoughtful and industrious of our race want to go back to Africa because we realize it will be our only hope of permanent existence. We cannot all go in a day, or a year, 10 or 20 years. It will take time under the rule of modern economics to entirely or largely depopulate a country of a people who have been its residents for centuries. But we feel that with proper help, for 50 years, the problem could be solved. This young Marcus thinks futuristic. Think that it's super 55 notes. We do not want all the Negroes in Africa. Some are good here, and naturally will be no good there. The no good Negro will naturally die in 50 years. The Negro who is wrangling about and fighting for social equality will naturally pass away in 50 years and yield his place to the progressive Negro who wants a society and country of his own. Well, in this time, we say African and black. But in that time, the 20s, Negro was a very revolutionary road, where they even describe himself as a black man. because we don't like some colored folks and these kind. So to describe himself as a Negro, you know, so we want to deal with all this because this manner of speech back in the day. It's same like what we say in Africa now. Them time when they say Negro, it's the same. Selassie, Jah, Rasta. Negroes are divided into two groups, the industrious and adventurous, and the lazy and dependent. The industrious and adventurous believe that whatever others have done, it can do. The Universal Negro Improvement Association belongs to this group. And so you find us working 6 million strong to the goal of an independent nationality. Who will not help? Only the mean and despicable. Who never to himself had said, this is my own, my native land. Africa is a legitimate, moral, and righteous home for all Negroes. And now that the time is coming for all to assemble under their own final victory, we feel it our duty to arouse every Negro to a consciousness of himself. White and black will learn to respect each other when they cease to be active competitors in the same countries for the same things in politics and society. Let them have countries of their own, wherein to aspire and climb without rancor. The races can be friendly and helpful to each other, but the laws of nature separate us to the extent of each and everyone developing by itself. We want an atmosphere all of our own. We would like to govern and rule ourselves and not be encumbered and restrained. We feel now just as the white race would feel if they were governed and ruled by the Chinese. If we live in our own district, let us rule and govern those districts. If we have a majority in our communities, let us run those communities. We form a majority of Africa and we should naturally govern ourselves there. No man can govern another man's house as well as himself. Let us have fair play. Let us have justice, said the Black Tiger. John Marcus I, Selassie I, Jah Rastafari. For these brief words, I learn and emphasize to give thanks to your patience and not attention. Let's go.
Rastafari.
Yes, my brothers and sisters, aye, Selassie, aye. Yeah, man, what a privilege, you know. We will now continue on with the gathering this afternoon. We will now call on Dr. Julius. I now present Dr. Julius to you, brothers and sisters. Dr. Julius.
Rastafari. Son of the Almighty. Thanks, Garvey. Dr. Julius.
Everyone. It is indeed a privilege and a blessing
Julius
to be here
Garvey.
with you. Archbishop of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, dignitaries on the day, brothers and sisters, fellow Africans. I want to say unequivocally that the Rastafarians have been the group that have carried the legacy of Marcus Garvey most faithfully up to this point in time. And I'm glad to see that I'm in the presence of different groups of the Rastafari. Because one of the things that my father preached, of course, was unity. And without unity, we cannot go forward. The other thing I think that what I see here represents is love. And that is love of self, and that is love of each other. And that is something that is lacking out in the broader community. The broader community is influenced by individualism. A true African community respects community and respects each other. As it said, because you are, I am. And because I am, we are. What that means is that I look upon you as myself. And therefore I treat you as I would treat myself. And I want you to treat me as you treat yourself. This is the basis for community. And this is the basis for religion. And it should be the basis for religion, but it's definitely the basis for spirituality. Because our understanding of God really is love. God is love. And there is one God. And there is one love for all humanity. We are not prejudiced against others. As a matter of fact, to some extent that may have been a weakness, because we have welcomed strangers to our continent. And they have abused our hospitality, and they have abused our love, and they have abused our generosity. So we have gone through the trials and tribulations of the last 500 years because of individualism, because of greed, because of evil, and because of ignorance, which has characterized the wider society, that has sought global dominance over the last 500 years since the second rise of Europe in 1492. We have suffered that, and we are not going to look at all of that suffering. But what we're going to say is that like iron that is put into the fire, it comes out as steel. And I think what I see before me and what I think Rastafari represents is African steel that has been tested in the fire.
Yeah! Rastafari.
Now, I grew up in Jamaica, and I am a very young person. But I can recall when Rastafari was not only ridiculed, but they were abused by the government and by the people of Jamaica. And many of you would know the word or the name Coral Garden. See, if you know your Rastafari history. So, even among ourselves, we have abused each other. But it's way past time for us to get beyond that, the abuse, and focusing on the differences of minor ideological confrontations. We don't need that. We need to be able to discuss things, and where there are differences, we need to be able to agree to disagree without trying to destroy the other person to win a point. So I'm doubly blessed not only to see Rastafari here, but to see the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. I think that is very significant. Because it means that you have bridged a possible ideological difference that would separate you from a very, very significant part of your history. We're all seeking our roots. We're all seeking to make ourselves whole because so much of us has been destroyed and or distorted, and we have had to internalize so much negativity. But instinctively and intuitively we knew that that was not right. We knew that we were wonderful human beings in our own right. So people like Marcus Garvey and others, Gilbert, etc., sought to find the truth of us. And we have all been looking for that truth that represents our history, that represents our culture, and that represents our contributions to world history and to world civilization. We have taken different routes, but we are all ending up the same place, which is Mother Africa. Africa for the Africans, those at home and those abroad.
Last year.
That is important. That is our birthright, and we cannot give that up. We look around and we see a second scramble for Africa, which is part of the extension of globalization. And what globalization means is the conquest of the world by the Europeans. It is a white supremacist doctrine which marginalizes one another, colored peoples of the world or non-white peoples of the world. That is not acceptable to us. So we will continue to fight against that. One of the ways to fight against that is to build our own strength. And we build our own strength in communities like this. I'm proud of your self-reliance. I've been shown what you have done here over the years. And I think it's a magnificent job. And give yourself a round of applause. I'm very, very proud of that. Because you are engaged in reparations. You're engaged in repairing the breach. And, you know, just like mental slavery, none but ourselves, okay, can free our minds. And none but ourselves can repair the breach. We can reach out for assistance in the reparative process, but we have to do the process. Because we know the model. We know what we're trying to achieve. We know what we're trying to build. We're not trying to build what the other man has, because we have not found that worthy. We have been the victims of what he has built. And what he has built is leading us to the destruction of the planet in terms of pollution, in terms of global warming, in terms of the destruction of humans, destruction of species, destruction of plants, and again, even the destruction of the air and the water and the land. Now, when you destroy your home, what kind of system is that? I don't want to use the word, but you know it's not a system, it's a what? All right, I didn't say, but you know what it is. Okay, so we don't want to be part of that. We're building our own system. A system that is based on the centrality of human beings. That is based on the fact that we are in the image of God. We are one with God. We can look into ourselves and find God. I don't have a problem when you say that Julius is God, because I am God too. And I know you are God too. Okay? And I know God found himself in all of us. God has made all of us. And we have to live up to that divinity that is within us. That is the important thing. Now, certain people have shown that divinity. And whether you consider that in Julius, or whether you consider that in Marcus Garvey, or whether you consider that in others of our heroes, they have shown that by standing up for our community. You know, we have a wonderful, you know, history in Jamaica in terms of being warriors and so on. You know, whether it's people like Nani and Daddy Sharp and so on. Where we have resisted slavery. We had a wonderful history in Haiti with Bookman and Toussaint the Overture and Dessalines and so on. We have wonderful histories that have shown that we don't break. We might bend, but we don't break. And when we come back strong. Because if we could defeat Napoleon's army, which was the best in Europe, you know we can defeat anything. But the war that we're fighting is not a war of weapons. It's a war of mind and a war of spirit. You understand? So we have to liberate ourselves from mental slavery. We have to reach into our insides so that we communicate with our spirit. Because when we communicate with our spirit, we communicate with God. And there's no greater power than that, as you know. Alright, so we've got the power. And we can do anything we choose to do, so long as it is righteous, so long as it is part of the order of the universe. Brothers and sisters, I am almost speechless in terms of being here and seeing all of you wonderful, lovely people, and seeing the children. And I know that you're not only seeking knowledge, but you're passing the knowledge on. And that is what is important. You must create those systems of knowledge. You must create those schools, whether it is preschool or you carry it further and you carry it into the high school and you have your independent high schools and you have church schools, however you want to do it, but you must find ways of sharing the truth with the children, because we don't want to lose more generations. I think all of you of my generation or the younger generation knows how many people have been lost out of your community because they did not have the support, because they did not have the knowledge. They were ignorant and they went astray. But with knowledge and support, then the human being is made in the image of God. And with knowledge and support, you can bring that out and share that, contribute that to your community, and share that with your nation, with your brother and sister. God is love, and I see love here. I see. I'm happy to be here in Trinidad and see this. I'm happy to be here to be part of the emancipation celebration. As you know, it's 177 years. Our emancipation is not complete. I don't have to tell you that. You know that. It's a process, because what we have been encased in and surrounded by is extremely strong, and it is built up over a long period of time, and it's very tricky. It morphs from one thing into the next thing. It was feudalism in Europe, it was imperialism as it went out into the world, and it kidnapped us and enslaved us. Then it turned into colonialism, and now it is globalization, you see, and it is reinforced by all of these international laws and agencies, the World Trade Organization, IMF, the World Bank, intellectual property, and so on and so forth. Just stealing things from us and then legalizing what they have stolen. And we can't get it back, you see. Just as though they stole continents and they stole human beings, they steal intellectual property and then hold on to it. They steal the seeds, they steal all of our inventions, etc. But this is the nature of what's out there, you know, and this is what we do not want to join, and we have to create this alternative. Because as you and I know, that is Babylon, right? Babylon was fall. I think you know that. Yeah. Babylon is falling. Babylon is falling. The last recession that started in 2008, it's still going on, you know. It's in Europe, look what is happening in Greece and so on. And now I guarantee you that in 2 years or so, there's going to be another recession that's going to be worse than the last one that just happened. Because they have a system that is not balanced, it's not in harmony with anything. It just continue to take the wealth of the world and utilize it for just a few people at the top. 90% of the wealth of the world is owned by about 5% of the people in the world. Now that's not a good system, right? That cannot be a system that would be ordained by God. And yes, these people will say they're Christian, they're religious, they're this and they're that. Well, you know, you are what you are by your actions. You know, show me what you do, and I will show you what you are. Show me what you do, and I know what your character is. Again, we don't want to be part of that. We have to build our own system. And it's a process. And you're building it here, and you're passing it on to the next generation. And importantly also, you're reaching out to others who are on the same journey. And I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to say that I'm on the same journey with you. And I embrace you, and only you embrace me. And thanks very much for having me here.
Rastafari. Gracias.
Yes, my brothers and sisters, a round of applause for Dr. Julius Garvey. Yes, my brothers and sisters, such an educational presentation. Now we will now open the floor for some small questions. I guess not everybody will be able to ask a question, but we will still take a couple of questions from most of you brethren and sisters, to Dr. Garvey. So would anyone like to start? As I said, please make your questions short. Will you please come forward?
Dr. Garvey, we would like to know how old you are and where you reside in this
Well, I'm not sure how old I am because I stopped having birthdays at about 45. So I could be 46 also. No, I'm 81 and I'll be 82 in August. And I live in New York. I'm not sure what that was about. Is that sort of a proposal or you want a date or what? All right. No phone number? You want a phone number?
Greetings. I heard you on Tuesday at the Central Bank Auditorium, and you were speaking about the need for education, both home and abroad, when it comes to Africans. And I want to throw this out to all nations as we are here, that we look into ourselves and think for our people wisely, and forward that mission to get our nation here and our nation at home to the place that we need to be, because that is the only way that we could ready for. In the father's time, he saw it as more of a political freedom, freeing, we need to be free politically. And he espoused that sort of partisan movement with the UNIA. And it's over time, especially through Rastafari, developed into something like humanity. And we are thankful that we could gain some sort of praise from his ancestors that we have done so. So I think that the challenge is now for us to organize, centralize ourselves so that we can be progressive, negotiate, and
Yeah, I just want to deal with one of the points that you made, and that you said that my father and or the UNIA was more political, but if you understand the movement, the UNIA, Universal Negro Improvement Association, number one was universal. So, and the other one was the African Communities League. That actually was the business aspect of the organization. So it had an economic foundation, and I won't go into that now, but the Black Star Line, the Negro Factories Corporation, etc., was all a part of that. UNIA was the sociological part of it. And if you understand, again, the organization, you will understand that Marcus Garvey gave it a theology. He espoused Black liberation theology before anybody else even thought of the word. He says, take down the white Jesus, etc., from the walls of the Black Christ, because Christ had the blood of all men in his veins, and he could trace the genealogy of Christ back to blackness. So, he established that as part of his theology. He also said God is a spirit. So don't, if you want to have a symbol of a spirit, then don't use the symbol of the white man as a spirit. Look through Ethiopian spectacles. And again, you need to know that. That's a spiritual perspective of how a black man is supposed to worship his creator. So he dealt with it theologically. He also dealt with it philosophically and sociologically, if you understand his advocacy of government. He had a different idea of government from what is currently present. We hear a lot about two-party democracy and multi-party democracy. well, how many truths do you have? And how many truths are present in the way forward? There's really one truth. There may be different ways to approach it, okay? But there is one truth. I don't think you need two parties to bring forward a platform that is based on the truth and the needs of people. You need good people who can come to a consensus about what is real, what is truth, and what is needed for those people. So when you talk about two-party democracy, what it is a legitimization of civil war. When you talk about a multi-party democracy, what it is chaos. Okay, what that means, and this is the person with an ego who has some money going to say, I have a party, and therefore I go to contest the next election. And he tells lies about the next person and so on and so forth. You know, that does not have anything to do with the integrity of the human being. Like you saw what I'm saying. So, but when you look at that, you have to understand that we're spiritual beings having a materialistic experience. That's where Marcus Garvey came from. And that's how he dealt with his socio-political program for African people. So it was extensive. He was about nation building, and he had the model for an African nation.
Who just came in, just taking some questions on the floor, yeah?
Good evening again. I always marvel from small as to where did Garvey get his enlightenment and great wisdom from such an early age, growing up in that time where it was just pure oppression. Basically, we were going to enlightenment from a school days.
Well, first of all, I think we just have to accept the fact that he was a genius. And in some sense, genius don't need schooling. Genius will school itself. And if you look at geniuses over time, they're not the products of the Ivy League schools and the brutalization of the so-called educational system. Which, what it does, it gives you things to memorize, and it tries to shape you in a certain way. It doesn't allow you to express your genius, which is a wrong understanding of education, because education comes from the Latin ex ducere, to lead out. And theoretically, it's supposed to lead that genius that is in you out of you. But instead of that, it's basically a technical system of giving you information and teaching you how to do things to maintain a status quo. So if you look at all the original geniuses, you know, they were in their garage or someplace like that, and they come up an idea with something and they go forward with it. You look at Brother Malcolm, it was the same thing. Yeah. You know, Brother Malcolm didn't I'm not sure if he finished high school, but I know he didn't go to college. He did a lot of his learning while he was in prison. And he could defeat any of them in terms of dialogue, etc., at Oxford University and so on. I mean, nobody wanted to sit down and argue with Malcolm. Okay, when these news reporters and so on, they came up to him, I mean, he would blow them away because of the information and the analytical aspect of his mind and its intuitiveness. So Marcus Garvey was a genius. Now, of course, he had a lot of information, and he sought information, because you had to be informed in order to know what was going on, and in order to know how to change the system and to deal with the system. So, my only answer to you is that geniuses don't need tutelage, they tutor themselves.
Dr. Garvey, are you Rastafarian? And in what ways did your father shape the way you think and your beliefs?
What's the first part? Am I Rastafarian? I don't know. I said, am I Rastafarian? Yes, I am. Sign her paper for me. Yes, my father has influenced my thinking profoundly, because I'm trying to understand what it was that he was saying and what it was that he was doing and why. So that my whole life has been a search for understanding and to understand his understanding. So now I overstand.
and see that bonding, love bonding is a problem in our community here in Trinidad. Sit inside of it in your formulating class, what you do bonding, and keeping the bond.
Well, it seems to me that you're doing very well, and all I have to say to you is, continue to do more of the same. Bonding is based on love, and love has to be unconditional. I'm not talking about the physical love, not necessarily one man for a woman, but the love that is in your heart, the embrace of the world, the embrace of humanity. And in fact, we are the first human beings, so all other humanity comes from us. So we are like the fathers and the mothers. So sometimes we have to treat all others like children, even when they don't understand, even when they turn away, even if they despise us. That doesn't mean you kiss anybody's posterior or you bow down to anybody else, but you're open to relationships in that sense that are forward-looking for both of you in terms of whatever the group may be, whatever the ethnicity may be. And, the human heart is a wonderful thing. If you approach somebody with love, very often that will rekindle love in their heart, even if they may start off with hate. So the onus is always on you to build that bridge. It's on us, I feel, to build that bridge. Because, it is difficult because almost spontaneously, hate comes up, anger comes up, and we have to work our way through that. That has been a stumbling block for a lot of us. We just turn away in anger, he said, I'm not going to bother with that, these people are that and they're that and they're that. But you have to understand that we're all human beings. And, if you look hard enough, you'll find a reason. And now you have to make sure though that it's tough love. It's not simplistic love. You're not going to let somebody brutalize you and you say, oh, I love you. No, it's tough love. I love you, but you have to respect me in terms of where I'm coming from. So you have to maintain that integrity within yourself, but be open.
I just wanted to ask because I didn't want to really ask because I'm afraid you will get a little bit sad. How did your father die and when did he die?
Okay, he died in 1940, and he had a stroke. It was June the 10th, 1940, and he had a stroke. We had high blood pressure. And unfortunately, in those days, many of our people didn't get proper medical attention, and a blood vessel in his brain broke, and he had a stroke. That's how he died.
Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah, my question is like, with all the calamity taking place, both locally, regionally, internationally, with respect to wars and whatnot and stuff, I would like to know, well, do you think it's time for all the four sect of Rastafari, Ethiopian Orthodox, Garvey, Igbo, to a church, to repatriate, or we have plenty of time left? But it's good to repatriate now.
I think you need to repatriate when you think it's time. That is something that you can't take it out of context, and I don't know that